Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alopecia 𝐬𝐮𝐞 podcast. I'm your host, Johanna Dahlman. I'm very excited for this next guest. Her name is Kellie 𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐻. She is a dynamic force in the realm of women's hair loss support and empowerment. She herself has scarring alopecia. Serving as the CEO of Limitless mindset coaching, Kellie has made a name for herself as a woman's hair loss support and authenticity coach. Dedicated to helping women reclaim their confidence, she channels her personal journey with alopecia into her mission, much like me, transforming the lives of women facing hair loss. As a confident, bald woman, Kellie not only shares her story, but she is also an advocate for the Scarring Alopecia Foundation, leading the 𝐶CCA support group, the host of the Baldie podcast, a 2025 Bald and Beautiful contestant, and TV producer of the Baldie show, demonstrating that resilience and success can flourish regardless of life's hurdles. Her mission is to inspire others to embrace their beauty, regardless of hair loss, and live life on their own terms. I'm so excited for you to have this discussion with Kellie because I was actually on her podcast. We recorded a couple weeks ago, and it was really exciting to talk to her. She's so friendly, open, and warm. And we had a lot of talk, about hair loss and so many things. So go to her podcast and listen to that episode that should showcase in January sometime. But for now, you can listen to our podcast episode here. Thank you so much. So Kellie, thank you so much for coming into the Alopecia 𝐬𝐻𝐼𝐻 podcast, Awaken to Hair Growth. I'm very excited to speak with you on our last session of recording the podcast for you, or me with you. The energy was so palpable. I really enjoy your energy. I really enjoy just who you are and how open, bubbly, and warm you are. Thank you so much for making the time to come here. So let's go ahead and start with your story, because I think that's the best part of going through hair loss and then seeing and climbing that Mount Everest, but carving our own path through it.
I actually noticed my hair loss when I was in my late 20s. I cannot tell you when it actually started because when I was younger, I did all types of things to my hair. I did relaxers, I had braids, I had locks, I had all of the styles, weaves, sew-ins, glue-ins, all of the different styles, which are not good for our hair. But back then, we didn't know. At the time, I noticed that my hair was, I was having some hair loss. I had locks, or dreadlocks, what people call them. And so my cousin was doing my hair, and she was like, do you notice that you have a small, quarter-size patch of missing hair at the top of your head? And I'm like, really? So I was like, okay, we'll just keep an eye on it. We were like, let's just watch it and see how it goes and see if it starts filling back in. Over time, it was not filling back in. But by this point, I was in denial. I'm not going to say I was in denial, thinking that I could fix it on my own. So I'm on YouTube University trying to research and figure out what people are using on Google, getting different oils and trying different remedies. I'm doing all types of things, just trying to get my hair to fill back in. But really, it wasn't happening. So eventually what I had to do was I combed my locks out. So this is interesting because most of the time when people want to get rid of their dreadlocks, they just cut their hair all the way off. But that tells you how much I was attached to my hair, right? Because I was like, I'm not cutting my hair off. I would just comb them out. So I went to a stylist and had her comb each lock out individually. And it took 3 days to get this done. And it was a lot of work, but she got it done. Once the locks were out, then I could really see how thin my hair was, because now it was just in its natural state. And so I'm like, it's thin, but I'm like, maybe it's because I combed the locks out and it was a lot of breakage and I had locks for years. You just don't know what your hair will look like. It needs to recover. That was my excuse. Let me give it time to recover. Let me nurture it. Let me take care of it and see if it gets thicker. Now, let me pause here because when I was younger, my hair was very thick to the point it was hard to comb my hair. It was so thick. So to see it in its natural form and it's thin, I was like, that was a little alarming. But again, I still did not go to a dermatologist. I still didn't try to seek help. So I began just styling my hair in its natural form. I stopped getting relaxers. I stopped doing all of the things that I thought was maybe potentially damaging my hair. So once I stopped those things, I waited a little while longer, but eventually the hair loss just got so severe that I was like, okay, it's time. I need to go see a doctor. But by the time I saw a doctor, it was too late. I waited too long, which is why I tell women now, make sure you go immediately to go get checked out and see and figure out what's going on. When I went to the doctor, I went by myself, and the doctor, he wasn't a lot of help. He looked at me and he was like, oh, I've seen this before. You have scarring alopecia. There's not much you can do about it. And that was pretty much it. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I just have to deal with this. Now, being more educated, now I know I could have done more then, but he didn't offer any suggestions or solutions. So I just did not know. So I just left the office defeated. And just in my brain, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just be wearing wigs or weaves and covering it up for who knows how long. I did that for a number of years until I got to the point to where I was tired of covering it up. I'm like, okay, I'm doing all of these different things every week. Like Sunday was planned around my hair. It was a week of, what am I going to do this week with my hair? How am I going to style it? What do I need to do? Every single week, it was something that I had to sit down, think about, and put effort and intention to as far as getting my hair together for the rest of the week so I wouldn't have to worry about it. I had times where if I did not plan, I would wake up, maybe have to go to work, and I couldn't get my hair together. I just had to put a hair wrap on, and I had to deal with it. I eventually got to the point to where I got tired of wearing the wigs, doing the hair fibers, doing all of the things to cover it up. And I was just like, I'm just ready to be myself. I'm ready to be free. I'm ready to be just genuine. I don't want to hide anymore. So that's when I made the decision to officially cut off my hair. Now, there was a time before this where I actually had to cut my hair bald, but I wasn't ready, and it was an emergency situation. I actually went to a stylist and got what we call a quick weave. And that, when I was trying to take it out and wash it out, it took all of this up here, it took it all out. It was just like a panic situation. I had no choice but to just go to a barber and just get it cut off. My friends and family, they were so supportive. They were like, you're so beautiful, and you should have done this a long time ago, and yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel beautiful. I feel like I look like a man. I feel like everybody's staring at me. My confidence was just shot. So that was the first time, but we're fast forwarding on to the time to where I was actually ready to cut my hair off and made the decision and was intentional about it. But at that time, I actually had to prepare myself. I could not just go cut it off. I still had to get used to having short hair, getting used to people looking at me. So what I decided to do was I cut my hair really short. It's like a boy cut, like what we call a fade. And I took hair fibers and I would cover up the bald and thinning spots. And I wore my hair like that for a while just to get comfortable with that type of short look. And after I got comfortable with that, I was like, okay, it's time. I went ahead, shaved it bald, and I made the decision to get micropigmentation because I felt like that would at least make me feel better and give me the confidence to just go out every day. If I had something to make it appear like I just had a short haircut, then I was fine with that. So that's the decision I made. I cut it off. I found a micropigmentation specialist in Phoenix, Arizona. Went to him and I showed him a picture, told him exactly how I want my hairline to be, and he did his job. He did a wonderful job. I was so happy, and I'm still very happy and pleased with the results. That was in 2018 when I got the micropigmentation done. Ever since, this is how I've been. I've worn a wig maybe a handful of times, but the majority of the time, this is what I look like, and I'm happy with it. So I had to come on the other side of just embracing my hair loss and just understanding my hair loss is just too severe. My scarring is too severe, and there's nothing I can do. I don't have hair follicles, and I just had to embrace that and move forward with it so that I can move forward with my life. So that's pretty much the story.
I have lots of questions. After that one doctor, what type of doctor was he? Was he a dermatologist? Was he just a regular practitioner? What was his credential?
He was a dermatologist.
And did you only see one type of doctor or just one doctor? Because as I mentioned on your show, a lot of my scarring alopecia clients, they see 5 and 10 doctors before they try to really gather all their information, and then they bring it to me.
I only went to that one doctor. I think it was, in my mind, I was like, okay, I've been dealing with this for so long by myself. This is what the doctor's saying. I just took his word for it, and then I just moved on. I'm just not going to have my hair back.
How old were you when you had this diagnosis?
Whew. By the time I went to a dermatologist, I want to say I was probably maybe 31, 32.
In my understanding, the best way to have a scarring alopecia diagnosis is through a biopsy. Was any type of biopsy done?
That dermatologist did not do a biopsy. I actually did have a biopsy done when I attempted to get hair transplants. So I didn't even tell that part of the story. As part of my ways of finding a solution, I did go to a hair restoration center to see if I can get hair transplant. That doctor looked at my scalp and he was like, let's do a biopsy. Because again, at that time, I didn't even know what a biopsy is. Nobody told me anything. So I'm like, okay, I want to do a biopsy because I want to make sure that if we transplant the hair, that it will take. It won't just come back out. So he did the biopsy and the results were, no, you don't need to get a hair transplant. He said, if I do a hair transplant on you, it would just come right back out and you will be wasting your money. I was just grateful that he was honest with me because there are so many doctors that are not honest with people and they end up wasting their money and then still have a scar in the back of their head now and still don't have their hair back, and that deflates them and defeats them even more. So I was appreciative of that. That was just another thing where I'm like, okay, I can't get hair transplants. The other doctor, the dermatologist, is telling me I can't do anything about it. Okay. And I just kept moving forward and just kept wearing wigs and covering it up.
Do you have any statistics on scarring alopecia that you can share with us for the different types of scarring alopecia or what this looks like? Because I know some, like yours, 𝐶𝐶𝐶A, do affect women of color much more than other types of people.
I don't have the statistics. I don't go into all of that. So my role at the Scarring Alopecia Foundation is to be a support leader or support group leader for the 𝐶𝐶𝐶A group. So that I just support the ladies. We talk about different medications and what we're doing and support each other in that way and uplift each other. But no, I don't have the statistics, but there are different forms of scarring alopecia, like you mentioned, 𝐶𝐶𝐶A, and then they have FFA. From what I understand and from what I've been told by other dermatologists going to conferences and things like that, like once it's just so scarred over, then there's not much that we can do.
I think maybe that's a gross generalization. I think there's truth in it, but I think it is a gross generalization because as I've shared on your podcast, like when I see clients with alopecia, the different types of scarring alopecia in particular that we're discussing here is that they do see hair growth. And granted, they do come to me at a point where it's quote unquote not too late, where not the whole head has scarred over, where maybe it's just one little section in the back or one section here, but everything else continues to grow. And so if we continue to promote that hair growth, promote the health, then this at some point, the hope is to either subside or to grow all the other hair around it where it just covers it naturally, where it's not pervasive like weeds in the garden. We can stop it and pull them back ever so slightly or as much as possible. And so I have seen that in FFA. I have seen that in LLP. I've seen that in other different types of alopecia, just to make a little clarification there. Looking back on your story, on what's happened, what's transpired, are there any things that you regret or that you would have done differently?
Yes, definitely. Of course, I wish I would have known the information that I know now. I didn't know anything about I didn't know anything about functional medicine. I didn't know to go get a second opinion. Like I was just in my late 20s, just living life. Okay, this is just it. I trusted the doctors. I trusted that they knew what they were talking about. They were educated. The doctor's word is the word. But now as I'm older, now I understand the importance of getting that second opinion or talking to different types of specialists to see what can be done. So yeah, those would be my regrets, but I don't linger on it. It is what it is at this point. So we can't turn time back.
It is what it is, but this can help as a warning towards others because when I tell them like the more and the quicker you act on your hair loss, the better it is because just in the same token, if it's not scarring, but let's say it's autoimmune, that autoimmune diagnosis opens you up to a second or a third autoimmune disease. And so those are things that maybe some people don't know, maybe they haven't heard before, or they don't realize. And so it's one of those things where why open yourself up when you can heal and reverse this, put this into remission instead of having a second and a third autoimmune disease just pop up out of nowhere. Like no one wants to be either physically, mentally, emotionally handicapped in any way, shape, or form, whether you care about your own health or not. But at the same time, look at those around you, your family, your children, your spouses, your partners, your community, your friends, your family, all your network. It's really disheartening, right? When people fall into this situation and that it could have been different. It could have been a different outcome. So from your pain, we've come now to your purpose.
Yes. Yes.
What does this look like now?
So right now it looks like I'm happy. I'm not worried about my hair. I'm not constantly in the mirror trying to make sure I look perfect before I leave the house. But it's not a thought anymore. Of course, do people look at me when I go out? Yeah, but the difference is that when I was not prepared to cut my hair off that one time and I was so insecure, I felt like everyone was staring at me. I felt I was ugly and this and that. But now when people stare at me, I just look at them back, smile, because now I'm like, oh, they're shocked that I'm pretty with a bald head because people aren't used to seeing that, you know? It's really a mindset shift. I had to, because there's no way I would be able to walk out the door every single day and have people looking at me and not be confident. I wouldn't be able to make it. There's so many women out there who are in that situation, maybe not with a bald head, but just hair loss in general, and have that insecurities. But I'm on the other side of my journey. I'm good. I'm confident. I've embraced it. I've had people approach me, specialists who are like, I can do something about that. And I'm just like, yeah, at this point, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I feel like maybe I had to go through my journey to help the next person. So, you know, I'm good.
For sure. So you never considered at any part of your journey in the past or now or even in the future, it's never tinkered in your mind like, maybe I should try diet and lifestyle. Maybe I should try this, even if there's no hair, but at least my overall health will be better.
So I don't have any issues with my health. Like I don't have an autoimmune issue or disease or anything like that. So that's why I'm like, I'm a healthy person. That doesn't really cross my mind too much. I already take care of my diet. I make sure I exercise. Like I do all of the things, go to the doctor. So I'm very healthy. My scarring alopecia, I really do believe it came from the hair care products and hairstyles. That's just it. We did not know that we should not be using certain things on our hair. And this is just the result of it. My purpose is if this can help the next woman or man or whomever gain their confidence, regain their life back, whatever, I'm here for it. So that's the aspect where I come from.
That's beautiful. That's a wonderful mission. And I love how you and I have that in common. We've turned our pain into purpose. And so now you help women and tell us about how you help them and how you help them either grieve, move forward, and get into a different headspace, because the mindset piece is huge. Even when I'm coaching people on my side and they're seeing hair growth, and the mental aspect is still a big part of that because they see hair growth and yet they still doubt. And so it's like that faith needs to be rock solid. And even in my own journey, my faith weathered. There was days I had doubts. There was days I was crying in the corner of the bathroom. There was days where it was a better day. And it's just like not until you're finally out of this carnival ride of sorts that you can actually feel composed a little bit more. It is a mental, spiritual, emotional, physical ride. It's all of it.
Yes, definitely. So what I do is I took my own journey and kind of modeled that and help other women. So what we'll do is first, I ask them, do you know what your diagnosis is? That's just number one. Do you know why you're losing your hair? And if you don't know, that's step number. We need to figure out what's going on. Go to your doctor, your dermatologist, go see a specialist, whomever you need to see to find out what exactly is going on. Then the next thing is, okay, can you save your hair? Or are you in a situation like I was in where it was just so severe where I didn't feel like I could do anything, or at least I was told I couldn't do anything at that time? How do we want to move forward? So then I work with them on how they want to move forward. We also work on the emotional side and the mental side. So if they're feeling frustrated, angry, all of those phases of grief, like you talked about, because those are the phases you go through because you're losing a piece of yourself. Your hair is a part of you. So going through that, what do you need assistance with, and working with them and helping them process themselves through that. So there's not like a set step-by-step plan for each that I use for each person. It depends on what is happening with them emotionally and mentally. But basically, I walk them through different steps until we get to the point to where they are confident in what their decision is. Do they need to see someone like yourself to get their hair back? Maybe I need to link them with like you, or do they want to wear wigs, or do they want to wear hair wraps? Do they want to cut it off? What is your decision? What do you really want to do, and what will truly make you happy so that you can wake up every morning and go about your day feeling fulfilled? So that's what we dive into. Who do you need to go see? What do you need to do in order to get you in a place where you need to be confident? The goal is just to get women back to where they are feeling good about themselves. Their hair is, whether it's growing back or not, like whatever their situation is, it's all about rebuilding them up, making sure they're confident and making sure they're being their true selves and they're okay with that.
Yes, that's very important, because once we decide how we approach the situation, how we approach the diagnosis, seeing what all the options are, seeing and researching 2, 3, 4, 5 different doctors if possible, if not more, even alternatives, because I saw doctors and they did nothing. In Europe or in the US, I saw alternative people that didn't work either. And so it's just like I had to just forge my own path. But in many ways, answers are there, and it's up to us to decide what we want to do with those answers and how far we want to go with our results. And so that's a beautiful format that you have, because it's important to take back that control and that empowerment and say, I'm deciding, like you did, I'm deciding to be me. I'm deciding to get micropigmentation, to look good, to be free, to be happy, to smile, to not be bitter, to not be angry at the world, to not be this, to not be that. Because you see a lot of situations happen during a health crisis of sorts, right? And so I've encountered people online and off, happy people as yourself, but also very bitter and angry, and it doesn't matter what you say. Even if you want to hand them a Kleenex or a tissue, it's like nothing would help or make anything positive for them. Everything is dark, gloomy, and rainy, and it's not getting better. And I'll be honest, in many ways, I found myself in various dark places too. But it's really about pulling yourself out. I think we could both agree that if you yourself can't pull yourself out, give yourself that space, that time to cry it out, to talk to friends, family, or just to yourself. Cry it out, take the afternoon, but then tomorrow you get back on the horse, you get back onto what you need to do. You look at that checklist and did I cover all my bases? Did I see and talk to as many people as I could before making my final decision on how I want to proceed? Because I think that's the biggest takeaway. And also understanding too that not everyone can help you. Just like the hair replacement person, the transplant center, they couldn't help you. And they were honest about it. So that's beautiful that they had the ethics and the integrity to say so, and understand that not everyone can, even if so-and-so has so many degrees or so-and-so has this or that, but it's just sometimes they can't. And then on the flip side, how much do we need to also take our own personal responsibility?
And then also, I guess, too, when we think about not even just the emotional side of it, as far as us just losing hair, we also have to think about the other side where people are spending a lot of money going to the doctors, paying for medication treatments and things like that out of their pockets, and having the hope and it's not working, or buying the oils or what they see on the internet or the TV, buying all of these things and it's not working because they need to see someone like yourself where they need to figure out internally what's going on and work on themselves from the inside out. But again, everybody doesn't know that information. Just like myself, back then, all of this information just wasn't available to us.
So how do you work with businesses that support people with hair loss?
So with businesses, I actually have them on my podcast, or I have them on my now TV show that's coming out soon. So I have businesses come on, thank you, that have products or services that support women with hair loss. And I must start broadening that because I need to start talking to men and children, everyone. There are all types of people suffering from hair loss, but my focus is women just because that is who I can relate to at this moment. But yes, I have companies or businesses come on, talk about their products. A lot of their companies were started based off of their hair loss journey. So we talk about their hair loss journey, talk about their products or services, how they can help other people who have hair loss. And it's a way to just get the information out there because who knows who's watching? It's really just more exposure and just putting the information, the education out there so that people with hair loss can go to those individuals and seek the services that they have available.
In regards to the Scarring Alopecia Association, is that funded by pharma?
No, it is not. There are no medications out there specifically for scarring alopecia. So pharma will not really provide any sponsorship or things like that because they don't have products to support it. With alopecia areata, they have products that people can use. So therefore they will support that. They're going to support that organization because that's their audience.
In many ways, I feel that when you are supported by such a huge multi-trillion-dollar organization or organizations that are multiple pharmaceutical companies, you're handcuffed of what you can say. You have these golden cuffs, like they say in corporate, right? Mm-hmm. So much, you can only say so much. And so I've noticed that in my journey personally, where I would go to one organization, one association, even the nonprofits of all different sorts, whether it's for kids or for this or for that. Mm-hmm. And I see that they are funded by huge conglomerates of this nature. I realize that the truth is not going to come out because at the end of the day, there's an agenda. At the end of the day, they want to support their medications. They want people on medications long term. And that's how they profit, because healthcare is a business, pharmaceuticals are a business, people. And then on top of that, they're doing a disservice. In my perspective, in my thinking, it's a disservice when you're not giving all the options as an organization, quote unquote, like an association. You're not unbiasedly giving all the options of what's possible. You're only saying these are your options because this is what our funding is telling us to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally understand. But it is difficult for those organizations like the Scarring Alopecia Foundation who need more money to be able to do the research, to be able to do all of the things they need to do. So it's a tricky situation. But yes, you are absolutely right. And I absolutely agree with you.
It's a double-edged sword that people don't realize. And they go in drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking everything's great and we're all here together. And there's more to this. You can't put a price on health. The body is made a certain way. And maybe in some cases, the genetic predisposition trumped everything else that was there. And then on top of it, right, all the other things that we didn't know about. We all have that innate biology. We all have all these factors. We all have relationships, finances, health, diet, sleep. We all have these factors and ingredients to our life and what that looks like for all of us. I believe that when things get a little, when they teeter off balance, then it can have a ripple effect. And when I see this with medications for hair loss in particular, I can't say this for all medications because a lot of medications out there are fantastic and they're wonderful, life-saving. But for hair loss, it's not the answer. I truly believe it's not the answer. It's so disheartening because it's almost like you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah, but people, they're trying everything they can just to try to keep their hair, regrow their hair.
It's painful because it's not just the money, it's the hope, the want, the desire, and then the deflation of everything. My heart goes out to anyone on this path of thinking like, hey, medications are the golden goose or the PRP or this or that. I'm happy to offer my free training to your community because at least with the free training, they can get straight to the straight and narrow of what works, what doesn't work, and why it doesn't work. That's the biggest research part. It's not the marketing and bold Hollywood lights of try this, stem cells, try this, PRP, try this, like injections or whatever it is. Okay, what does the data say? What are the ramifications? What are you giving up? And what this costs, not just in terms of money, but in terms of side effects as well. That's what we should be looking for because it's also a mindset. The healing of the mindset is not a one size fits all. And the healing too, it's never just one thing. It never is.
Yeah. I am noticing that there are more and more people that I've spoken to who are starting to say, you know what? I'm done with the medications. I'm going to try the holistic route. More and more people are waking up to it and getting tired of trying the medications and seeing no results. So there's hope. You're going to get more people coming to you. I'm pretty sure because they are definitely saying, I'm tired of this. I'm spending this money. I'm taking my time out, effort out, my energy, all of these things. Nothing's working. I'm done. And instead of them getting to the place like myself where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to cut it off, which some of them are getting to that point where they're like, we're just going to cut it off, leave it alone, done. Now they're like, but I'm going to, like one lady last night I spoke to as well, she changed her diet. She's using natural oils. She's doing all of these different things, reducing her stress. She's doing all of these natural, holistic things. And she's starting to see some results. She is starting to see that she's not getting as much shedding. She's getting a little bit of regrowth. So I'm just going to maintain this. I'm just going to do the natural thing and see how that goes. So I think that's the best route to go, actually.
That's great. I appreciate that. What are 3 biggest takeaways that you want someone to know or learn or have in regards to you, who you are, what you offer, and what's out there for them?
The biggest takeaways, I always want to say, like I said before, if you are experiencing any type of hair loss, immediately go find out what's happening. And to your point, make sure several different people and get all of the information. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. As far as myself is concerned, if you are feeling the emotional effects or mental effects or challenges of hair loss, seek some support. It doesn't even have to be myself. It could be anybody. It could be a support group. It could be your friends, your family. It could be a therapist, whomever you need to see. Make sure you are healthy mentally, because that is very important. Because when you're going to go forward with trying to navigate and regrow your hair and going down that journey, you have to have a healthy, strong mindset and be positive. To your point, have that faith, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. So you have to be patient. You have to have faith. You have to believe that it's going to work in your favor. I think the last takeaway I would say is just don't sit by yourself alone and try to deal with this. Just don't. I think that just goes back to the support. Don't just hide yourself away, because a lot of people do that. They don't want to go back in public or be around friends or family anymore. Don't do that. Don't do that. You still have a life to live. And this is my main thing I tell people, and this is a driving force behind me giving people their confidence or helping them gain their confidence back. You have a life to live. We were put on this earth for something, and you have work to do. Your hair, yes, it's important. However, your life is more important, and you need to do whatever you need to do to start living your life again and moving forward. So whatever that looks like for you, make sure you do that.
I agree wholeheartedly. Amen. Thank you so much, Kellie. This has been such a beautiful exchange of information, wisdom, guidance, and then, of course, getting to know you and exposing you to my audience and vice versa. And then also having another outlet, another support, especially for those with scarring alopecia, because even though I've gone through hair loss, it's different than scarring alopecia. Autoimmune is a different animal. The scarring alopecia is a different animal. And every type of hair loss has its own nuances. And this is important to understand and to also take into consideration. Because again, just to Kellie's, what she had to say is the sooner the better. The sooner the better for all of them, really. Any type of hair loss, the sooner the better. Don't delay. So thank you so much, Kellie. Once again, where can people find you?
You can visit my website, and that's limitlessmindsetcoach.com. My website has everything on it, including the podcast, information about the show. So that's how you can find me, limitlessmindsetcoach.com.
Fantastic. Thank you again. We'll talk soon.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this, and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.